The mind, like nature, abhors a vacuum. And when you no longer know who you truly are, a substitute self quietly takes its place. A mask, a role, a socially accepted version of you. But what if, buried beneath the noise of daily life, there was a technique ancient, hidden, perhaps even forbidden, that allowed you to remember? Not to discover something new, but to recall something forgotten. A truth older than thought. A memory from before memory. What happens when the soul remembers? Imagine being born again, not metaphorically, but literally. A newborn, eyes wide open, unstained by history, identity, or expectation. In that moment, you are pure consciousness. You are the all undivided. And yet, as time flows on, something strange happens. Layers begin to form. Language, belief, trauma, desire. These become the filters of perception. And slowly you forget. You begin to believe you are the name, the story, the job title, the gender, the nationality. You begin to forget what you never truly learned, but always were. In Hermetic philosophy, this forgetting is not a flaw, it's a function of creation itself. The Kybalion says the all is mind. The universe is mental. Reality begins in consciousness, but that consciousness descends into form, into matter, into multiplicity. And in that descent, the soul covers itself with veils. It is still light, but hidden behind shadows. Corpus Hermeticum offers a stark reminder. Though mankind is of divine origin, he immerses himself in that which is base. So the ancient question returns, how do we rise again? How do we remember? There is a technique. One not taught in schools. One rarely named in modern life. It does not come in the form of a ceremony or ritual, though rituals may point to it. It is not bound to a particular culture or dogma, though fragments of it appear across traditions. It is the art of inner recall. A path not of acquisition, but of remembrance. And it begins in silence. Silence is not the absence of sound, it is the absence of identification. When the mind quiets its incessant labeling, something profound emerges. In that silence, the soul begins to stir. This is the first gesture of the forbidden technique to cease being hypnotized by thought. To sit, not to think, but to observe thinking. You are not your thoughts, you are the awareness of thought. This insight, though simple, is radical. It dismantles the false self. In the stillness, memory awakens. Not the memory of events, but the memory of being. Before you were named, before you were conditioned, who were you? This technique continues with a subtle but powerful practice, turning consciousness inward along the timeline of your own existence. Imagine walking backwards through your adulthood, adolescence, childhood, until even the first moment of life feels like a door you can step through. Who were you before you were born? It may seem like a paradox. But in Hermetic teachings, paradox is the language of the soul. The principle of polarity, as described in the Kybalion, states, everything is dual. Everything has poles. To remember who you are, you may need to encounter everything you are not. Confusion is not failure. It is the echo of clarity returning home. And so the technique continues inversion. If you feel lost, then that sense of disconnection is not your enemy. It is your compass. You could not feel lost unless there was once a place of belonging. The ache of the soul is not brokenness, it is homesickness. According to Hermeticism, the path of awakening is not linear, but vibrational. The principle of rhythm suggests that every swing in one direction leads eventually to the opposite. By understanding this, one can begin to master it. By understanding the laws, one may rise above them. Thus says the Kybalion. This is not mere philosophy, it is instruction. It is the map home. Let us anchor these ideas in a human story not as a metaphor, but as a mirror. Picture a man in his mid-30s. On paper, he's successful. A stable job. A partner. Friends. But every morning, he wakes with a quiet dread, like a ghost tapping on the inside of his chest. His days blur together emails, traffic, small talk, scrolling. At night, he dreams of places he's never seen, feelings he can't explain. One evening, exhausted, not just in body but in soul, he sits in silence. Not meditation, just silence. No music. No distractions. And in that silence, a memory rises. He is 6 years old, standing barefoot in the backyard talking to the trees. Not as fantasy, but as if they were alive. The wind felt like a friend. The sunlight felt like a language. In that moment, he wasn't performing, he was. No fear of judgment, no need for productivity. Just being. That memory long buried returns like a whisper from the soul. This is who you were before the world told you who to be. And something shifts. Not in the outer world that remains the same for now, but within. A seed cracks open. He doesn't need to abandon his life, but he begins to live it from a different center. He starts noticing when he's acting out of obligation versus authenticity. He feels when he's lost in the mind versus rooted in awareness. Slowly, the false layers peel away. What's left is not an idea of self, it is presence. Alive. Quiet. Real. This is not magic. This is memory. And it lives in all of us. But as this technique begins to stir something ancient within, we must also clear away the distortions that often surround it. In today's spiritual marketplace, there is no shortage of promises. Raise your vibration instantly. Unlock cosmic codes. Manifest your destiny in 7 days. And while these ideas often come from sincere yearning, they can become distractions. The true technique, the forbidden one, is not about escaping your life. It is about remembering the deeper self through your life. It is not an ecstatic high. It is a return to stillness. This is why the Hermetic path can feel stark to some. It demands not just belief, but honest inner work. You are not chasing an experience. You are peeling away illusions. Spiritual bypassing. Using spirituality to avoid pain, accountability, or reality is a subtle trap. The forbidden technique is the opposite. It brings you closer to discomfort, but from a place of clarity. It lets you observe suffering without being consumed by it. You do not become a new person. You remember the one you've always been. This remembrance predates language, predates personality. It is what remains when all labels fall away. You are not here to become someone. You are here to remember and embody what you already are. Beyond your name, beyond your roles, beyond even your thoughts. And from this space, life changes. Not because you impose change, but because alignment becomes inevitable. Relationships shift. Priorities clarify. The inner world reshapes the outer. The law of correspondence, as within, so without, takes root in lived experience. The soul begins to lead again. So what now? The technique, if we can still call it that, doesn't end in a single practice or a one-time revelation. It deepens. It integrates. It becomes a way of seeing, a way of being. And from this deeper center, you begin to move through life differently. Not above others, not apart from the world, but attuned to it. You begin to sense the hidden harmonies. How thought shapes matter, how emotion influence energy, how attention itself is creative. This is where Hermeticism stops being theory and starts becoming transformation. You notice the principle of cause and effect, not just in physical law, but in your own habits. Every action you take, every belief you reinforce, is a seed that ripples through your reality. You see the principle of rhythm in your moods, your motivation, your memories, and instead of resisting the tides, you learn to ride them. You stop fearing darkness because you know it precedes the next dawn. And through it all, the polarity principle remains your compass. Each time you forget, you also gain the opportunity to remember. Each doubt is the inverse of a deeper truth. The more lost you feel, the closer you are to realignment, if you know how to listen. Eventually, the question is no longer, how do I remember who I am? But rather, how can I forget, again and again, and still return? That is the art. That is the forbidden rhythm. And now that you've heard its music, it can never fully leave you. Perhaps the rest is yours to live. Before we close, consider this. Have you ever experienced a moment, brief, silent, inexplicable, where you felt more you than ever before? A memory, not from this life, but from the soul. If so, leave a comment below. It might just awaken someone else's memory too. And if this message resonated, stay with us. In the next episode, we'll explore the Hermetic principle of vibration and how tuning your inner frequency changes the entire symphony of your life. Until then, remember, you are not broken. You are simply remembering in fragments. And if you feel called to take this journey deeper, beyond the video, beyond the screen, we've created a resource for you. It's a free guide, the 7 Hermetic Principles, a map for inner awakening. Inside, you'll find not only the original teachings from the Kybalion, but modern reflections, daily applications, and journaling prompts designed to awaken that ancient memory already living inside you. You'll find the download link in the description. No fluff, no catch. Just a tool, one you can return to again and again, each time with new eyes. Because this is not entertainment. This is remembrance. And remembrance is sacred. So, whether this is your first encounter with Hermetic wisdom, or a return to something you've always known but never had words for welcome, welcome back. And remember, the lips of wisdom are closed except to the ears of understanding. Now, the question is, are you ready to listen? Pause. Thank you for watching. Take a breath. Feel the silence behind the sound. We'll meet again soon.